Well, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again for this very unique career spotlight. I'm Laura Torres from Blue Star Careers, and this is a segment that we bring you every other week. So, to share with you and highlight military spouses who are drafting their own career trajectory. They took just complete control of their own trajectory, career path, and are drawing, designing, laying out, however you want to put it, their own path, their own journey. And so, on this particular occasion, we have a very unique career that when I heard her story, I was like, whoa, you must be a unique career spotlight. But first, I would like to ask you who you're watching to tell us where you're watching because we are in two separate communities today that we normally don't come live with these segments. So please tell us and share the love, the support, tag your network, let them know about this very unique career spotlight segment. And tell us where you're watching. We'd love to highlight your comments, your questions towards the end as well as any questions you have for Don. Let us know what you have, any comments that you want to do it. So, but first, and also want to invite you to join our Spouse Force virtual community where you will find more resources, more activities, and also more specific targeted events that are all designed for you, the military spouse community. So, without further ado, let's invite Dawn, the tour guide. Dawn, how are you doing? Welcome. And I have a drum beat here, silent. How are you doing
Hi,
today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. And I see one of my mentors, Mitch, is on here. Some of my friends are joining. This is the tour guide community in action right here. They've shown up to support me, and that's part of why I love this career. And I'm so excited to share it with you today.
Fantastic. And we love, love, love that you took some time out of your busy schedule to be here to educate us and highlight a little bit more about your very unique career. So, first of all, tell us about you, though. You and your military connection. Who's Dawn?
Absolutely. So, my husband is active duty Army. We will be. Let's see. He will be 25 years in December, and I've just been on this journey with him for 16 of those years. Thank you, and supporting him and moving where he needed to go. And we made the choice to homeschool our son. We have one son who's an adult now, but that was sort of my job for a really long time was homeschooling, and he started college, and my husband was, still going to work, and I needed. I needed something I was passionate about that was for me, and my husband was super supportive. Even my son thought it was great, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I could not be happier.
So, what exactly is it that you do? Because you have a very unique career that I would have never, ever in a million years thought that this is such a thing. Because, but of course, over the course of the years, and especially with COVID, things kind of pivoted and changed a little bit more. It became a little more flexible for our community. So, tell us, what is it that you do?
Sure. So there's a lot of different ways to be a tour guide. Let me just start by saying that. So the way that I'm doing it is not the only way that it can be done. I have lots of friends who approach it from different directions and are tour directors and other things. But I primarily work here in the Washington, D.C. and Alexandria, Virginia area. And I've gone through certification to become a professional tour guide. And then I've taken some master classes with some really wonderful schools to kind of strengthen my muscle. But I've built on my own interest in history and my own years of homeschooling my son and living and traveling around the country and around the world. And and so I mostly guide here locally. I mostly do walking tours. I also do work primarily in the summer and a little bit in the spring with student groups. So I'm that person that you see with 50 people walking behind them, most of them elementary or most of them middle or high school students, and I'm showing them the sites in DC and introducing them to their nation's capital. So those are the two ways that I right now am guiding. And when I'm guiding on small walking tours, that's with my own small company for the most part that I started in the middle of the pandemic, because why not?
Why not? That's right.
Yeah,
Why not? If
why not?
why not? Because
Yes.
said no will spouse ever, right?
Yeah.
Now, Don, why was this such a good fit for you? What background do you have, and how did you see that? Hey, I can do this virtually. I can do this in person. I can do this in my own time. What sparked that inquisitive sort of a mindset of you to design and say, I can do this. I can draft it in my own time. I can actually pick my own hours, select who I want to work for, what I want to do, when, how, when, all those things. What actually led you to that decision?
I mean, you basically just nailed it. Those are so many of the reasons. But yeah, from a military spouse perspective, as I was considering what I might want to do with the next phase of my life, one of the things that really appealed to me about tour guiding is that, yeah, right now I live in a destination. I live in a place where people plan, spend years planning a trip to come once. I also live in a place where military families are constantly rotating through, and it's a pretty overwhelming duty station. So those two factors played into my decision to get started now. But big picture wise, even if I was to PCS, to move at some point, I could take this career with me. I could reestablish my own company in a new place, or I could continue to work with some of the companies that I contract with. I might find new opportunities in my new community. So I knew that it was something that I could take with me, that I could, because I am the product, wherever I go, it's with me. My voice is not with me so much right now, which is a bit of a betrayal for a tour guide, but it'll come back. But I knew that I could take it anywhere. And so that was hugely motivational for me when I was sort of making the pragmatic decision to go this route. But also, I mean, I've hired tour guides in many, many places, or I've, visited places that provide tour guides. And I learned very quickly that the quality of your tour guide, their enthusiasm for the story that they're sharing, it makes all of the difference in your experience. You often love a place or kind of don't care about a place based on the person who interprets it for you, the person who shares it with you. And I got to the point where I started to think, maybe I could be good at this. I think maybe I could be one of those people who could help someone fall in love with a new place or a new story or a new time period or their nation's capital. And so that was the personal sort of motivation tied directly to my own interests and my own personality. And also, I just want to be where people are. COVID was really hard for me because I just love people and I want to be wherever they are.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, yes, and you're obviously not alone. COVID was extremely hard for a lot of us extroverts who
Yes.
love to chat and had
Yes.
to come up with other ways to keep the chatter going.
Yeah.
And I love it that you were able to see the opportunity and to just seize the opportunity to make something happen for you to really continue on with your skill. Because sometimes we're often, so just get completely turned off by the situation or maybe by the location, and you think, oh my god, especially sometimes when I have heard stories when you people relocate to the DC area, that is so overwhelming sometimes because of so much, it's such a fast pace of so much federal work or other requirements out there, that sometimes when you have a specific skill or just background in career wise that is not adaptable to that particular industry or the most on demand, it feels like it could kill your career.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you were able to actually adapt it and saw the opportunity to do a tour guide. And,
Thank you.
and I love it. I love that you're able to do that. Now, I know that you mentioned a little bit that you do some virtual in person, but also virtual. So how does the
Yes.
virtual system or process work for some of these? Um,
So a virtual tour, it was a whole new world during COVID for folks and my peers and my friends and my colleagues in this industry to sort of tackle. I had the opportunity to work with a company out of Boston that was doing some virtual tours internationally. So that was sort of my introduction. But the same schools that I attended for my certification and my master training also, jumped in and helped guides learn to develop the skills, help them figure out what kind of equipment they needed. And there was a lot of really creative virtual tours that went on during that time. And it's a very different way to guide. Um, it's a little strange at first to be out there kind of on your own talking to this, you're holding your camera up and you're talking into basically a void. At first I sort of missed that feedback you get, when you're looking at somebody and they're nodding their head at you just like you're doing for me now, and I know you're hearing me. But over time, I learned to really love it because there was a flexibility and a freedom. I could kind of move more quickly because I wasn't waiting for people to follow me, and I could people could still ask questions of either in the chat, or sometimes it was, an environment where there would be the opportunity for discussion. And so it's something that I actually hope to continue doing to a certain extent in the future. I have a friend, a military spouse. That's another thing that's incredible about both the military community and the tour guide community. There's just so much support in both of these communities. She works in a retirement community. She works in a retirement home, and she wants to hire me to go out with my virtual equipment and do tours for her residents so that they can actually visit the Lincoln Memorial. They live 7 miles from the Lincoln Memorial, but they can't get there. But I can take them there. So that's
Oh,
just incredible.
oh, that's fascinating. I had no idea that you actually did the tour virtually. I thought,
Yeah.
oh, well, maybe through Zoom, because we're so accustomed to the Zoom effect. That,
No, I
but
mean,
that's
you can
fascinating. You're
use
actually on
Zoom.
site doing it
Yeah,
with us through the phone. So
live.
yes,
Live. I mean, you can record them, of course, as well. I mean, there's so much that you can watch on the internet that's recorded tours, and you can learn a lot from those. But the live tours are really cool because you have the opportunity to ask questions and they're interactive. And someone can say to you, can you get closer to that statue for me? I'd like to see more detail. And you can do that for them. So it still gives you that human interaction that I love so much.
that's wonderful. Now, Dawn, if there was any other spouses out there that have a similar background as you, or just the calling, or perhaps they do enjoy, touring, museums, culture, those that kind of this kind of industry, and they had interest in sort of pursuing something like this, what are some of those tips and tricks that you will share with them as far as keeping them motivated to keep going?
So, one of the things that's really neat about tour guiding, I'm basically a history tour guide, not exclusively, but that's sort of my focus. But if you're a foodie, you can do food tours. If you have a background in wine, you could do wine tasting tours. You can work in a museum. You could, work in an art environment, sculpture garden, right? Like you can take your interests and your passions and you can share them. I do recommend getting some professional training. Depending on where you live, there's different standards and different criteria. So you should look into that. But most places it's pretty open. But I find that having gone through some training and surrounded myself with a community that works in this industry, I think I became a better tour guide much faster
Yeah,
because of all of that support and input that I received and the feedback that I got from my cohorts and my friends.
that's
But
wonderful thing.
so there's some great schools out there. I don't know all of them. Personally, I got my first certification through ITMI, which is the International Tour Management Institute. And then I've done some follow-up training with them. And I've also done quite a bit of training with another school out of New York City called Trip School, which is really, really fun, fast-paced, like a lot of it's on the ground training. And both of those programs have been invaluable to me and continue. And many of my friends that I've met through the industry come from those experiences.
That's wonderful. That's oh, again, I'm getting excited, and because every time we discover a different type of unique career, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, there's hope for all, for military spouses who are perhaps in between career paths, or in
Yeah.
between the struggle trying to identify the unique career calling. Perhaps their schooling doesn't quite match their goals or their mission, or even their spirit to go out and adventure into a career. And this is perfect because you're really giving us all the great insight on how to become a tour guide. Now,
Thanks.
what's next for Dawn? What are you going to do next? What's your call of action?
So I'm still figuring that out. This whole, like, I decided more than about 3 years ago now to go into tour guiding, and I sort of had this path where I was going to get certified and I was going to be a contractor or an employee and work for other companies and show up when I was needed. And that's another beautiful thing about tour guiding is you have a lot of control over your own schedule. Company can ask you to work for them and you can say, great, I'm available, or you can say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So again, as a military spouse, if you got your spouse has something going on, there's a deployment or something, you can take a step back for a while and then rejoin when your life opens up again. So again, so much flexibility. The pandemic really changed that because companies weren't sending visitors. Well, there were no visitors, right? Nobody was traveling. We were all at home. And that was where I came up with this idea of working with my own community, the military community, and trying to make this particular duty station more accessible and less intimidating. Because if you can figure out how to take advantage of your time in the National Capital Region, it will be like no other duty station you've ever had, in a good way, not in a terrible, stressful, bad way. We've lived overseas, and to me, there are some similarities between an overseas assignment and a DC assignment. Language barriers, not so much, but it's just the public transportation, the density of people. I mean, it's a really different experience for a lot of folks. And I got to thinking that maybe I could be a bridge for folks where they could just spend 1 or 2 times with me and feel confident enough to take grandma and grandpa on the metro and down to the mall when they came, or, feel like they could actually park in Old Town Alexandria and grab a meal and not be intimidated. Help people build their confidence and maximize their time here, because it's an extraordinary place, and it's a extraordinary duty station, and I would love to see as many people as possible enjoy it. And I would love to welcome military spouses to join me in that effort, not only here, but in all kinds of duty stations.
Absolutely, because there's so many incredible cities where we get the opportunity to go and visit,
Yep.
and nothing wrong with the national capital. It has all. I mean, of course, it's our headquarters of amazing sites and sightseeing
Yep.
and everything else. But there's a lot of other communities out there that perhaps could use wonderful tour guides like yourself and
Like San
introduce us.
Diego, where you
Yeah,
are,
like
where the
San
weather is
Diego, that's
nice all
right.
the
We go
time.
to Coronado and then Coronado
Yeah.
Island, or we could go to Liberty Station or some of these other great places out here, or
Mm-hmm.
even up North Orange County that people don't quite get to explore because of that intimidating. I'm new to the community. How do I get out and where do I go?
Yeah.
How do I
How do
find
I
my
park?
community? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was wonderful to have that. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Don. I want to take a moment right now to actually highlight some of the comments from our audience who has been super helpful and very supportive here with you. And I have Mitch saying, "Oh, Don, you're amazing. Thank you, Mitch, for your support." We have watching from Western Pennsylvania. Look at that. And then we have also from New York State. So thank you. Oh, number one tour guide. Thank you. So you do have a community. Hi.
I do.
Hi, Christine. And then absolute terrific virtual tour too. Perfect. And then I also have someone say two great resources for mill spouse. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maria. Love the support. Thank you. And then, of course, somebody else said, hi to
That's
us.
my
Thank you so
dad.
much.
That was
Oh,
my
that's your dad.
dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
my dad.
Hi,
Thank you.
Dad.
More people are able to access destinations through virtual tours. So thank you, Don, for making those accessible to our community and to anyone out there. Actually, it's not just the military community, for
Anyone.
anyone within
Yep.
our country. So, and wonderful, excited opportunity. So excited for you. Then somebody else is doing some claps and guide.
Amy.
I went down to be my tour guide. There you go. Somebody else. So perfect. So thank you for all of those comments. So any last minute words, Dawn, as we wrap it up, and any sort of a inspiring maybe words of wisdom that you can share with our community, so people can get inspired and can just actually go and do their career the way they need to for their family.
So yeah, I would say, follow your dreams. I mean, this was a dream for me for a long time, and I didn't really know how to make it a reality. And then slowly, I figured it out, and now I feel like I'm living in a place where my passions and my gifts have intersected, and just feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I would love to encourage people to do that, no matter what path that is for them. But if they think that this sounds like something that they're interested in doing, I am happy to chat with people, happy to answer questions. I think that my dad's reminding me of my 7th birthday at the on Coronado. We celebrated my 7th birthday in the dining room there. Anyway, I am happy to answer questions or assist people in kind of trying to decide if this is the right path for them to provide some resources, send them in the direction of some folks who could help them get started. And if I can bring a few people into an industry that I'm passionate about, that they equally, become equally passionate about, that would be very gratifying. I would be very gratifying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be absolutely the purpose, of our mission and our call to action overall, I think, within the military community is to always help and pay it forward for others, even if
Yeah.
it's just one spouse at a time.
Yeah.
And that spouse brings another spouse and another spouse, and then we build a community of tour guides. There you
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Don. So the link right there to your website is it's right on our screen. So if
Perfect.
anybody out there who watches this right now or watches the replay, please get a hold of Dawn. Send her a message. You can find her on Facebook too. You can find her
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But visit the website so you get to see what her work is all about. And then, of course, you can also send more questions and post any general Q&A on our Spouse First Richard community, where we always share the latest resources for our Spouse First community. So thank you so much, Stan, for your time today. Very delighted to have you here today, sharing your unique career spotlight. We look forward to staying connected with you. And, once again, can I say thank you so much for
Thank
your.
you, Laura. Really, this was really fun, and it's an honor to represent the tour guide community to the military community. So I just can't thank you enough for the chance.
Absolutely. We're very blessed to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.